Folsom Police seek man who exposed himself to girl at park in January. Police on Friday released a composite sketch of a man who exposed himself to a child at a Folsom park in early January. The involved juvenile reported she was at Elvias Parazzo Park on January 7th when she was followed by a man who was exposing himself to her, the Folsom Police Department said in a Facebook post. The child called the police, who responded to the area but could not locate the man. The girl said the man left the park heading toward the Singer Lane in Folsom's Briggs Ranch neighborhood, and that is according to the post. The juvenile met with the Folsom Police Department sketch artist to create a sketch of the man, described as a Hispanic man between his late 20s and early 30s, a thin build, approximately 5'9" or 5'10". The girl said the man had rough hands as if he worked in construction or another labor-intensive occupation. Anyone who recognizes the man or is aware of a similar incident is asked to call Folsom Detective Patrick Thibault at 916-461-6474. Anyone who sees the potential suspect in person should call 911 immediately. Suspect arrested in $3,000 shoe theft from Morgan Hill home. Authorities say a 22-year-old man also vandalized a car at the same residence in November. Out of San Jose, a man suspected of stealing $3,000 worth of shoes from a South Bay home was arrested Thursday morning, according to the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office. The burglary occurred Monday at a home on Clark Lane in unincorporated Morgan Hill, according to Sergeant Michael Lowe. At about 11:15 a.m. Thursday, deputies spotted the suspect, identified as 22-year-old Jorge Ozuna Ramos, riding a bicycle on Santa Teresa Boulevard in San Jose, and arrested him. He was found with burglary tools and drugs, according to the sheriff's office. Lowe said Ozuna Ramos is also a suspect in an act of vandalism at the same home. On November 29th, he allegedly threw a metal bar at a car, causing about $1,300 worth of damage. Ozuna Ramos is being held at the Elmwood Correctional Facility in Milpitas without bail, according to the jail records. Man stabbed, beaten with bat at shopping center. No suspects have been arrested or identified. Out of San Jose, authorities are searching for a pair of suspects who allegedly stabbed and beat a man with a baseball bat at the Plant Shopping Center in San Jose late Thursday. Officers were initially called to the 1000 block of South 12th Street about 10:50 p.m. for a report of a stabbing, said San Jose Police Sergeant Enrique Garcia. Garcia said a preliminary investigation revealed the victim was stabbed at least once and assaulted with a baseball bat at the shopping center in the 2100 block of Monterey Road. The victim was taken to an area hospital with injuries that were not considered life-threatening. Garcia said no suspects had been arrested or identified in the case. One of the suspects was described as a 16 to 17-year-old boy, and the other as a man in his 20s. Additional details were not immediately available, but anyone with any information about the case can leave an anonymous tip with Silicon Valley Crime Stoppers. Their number is 408-947-STOP or 7867. Or you can go to svcrimestoppers.org and leave a tip. Tipsters may be eligible for a cash reward. California voters can change parties even on Election Day. Governor Gavin Newsom signed the legislation on Thursday. California will allow voters to change their party affiliations as late as Election Day, a move that could have major implications for the large cache of delegates up for grabs in the state's upcoming Democratic primary. Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom signed legislation on Thursday, effective immediately, doing away with the previous cutoff of 2 weeks before Election Day. The move could open up myriad possibilities for rival strategists to make a ploy for the biggest single delegate prize, as they already have in other states. Some conservatives in South Carolina are trying to interfere in the Democrat primary by encouraging Republicans to vote for who they believe is the weakest candidate to take on President Donald Trump in November. Instead of having to re-register to vote to change their party affiliations, Californians will now simply submit signed requests to switch parties to state election officials. Their registrations will then be immediately changed and they will receive the appropriate ballots according to the bill. Trump appeared to encourage the tactic of rival party interference during a rally in New Hampshire the night before the state's primaries. Trump said Monday, "So I hear a lot of Republicans tomorrow will vote for the weakest candidate possible of the Democrats. Does that make sense? You people wouldn't do that. My only problem is I'm trying to figure out who is their weakest candidate. I think they're all weak." He later added, "If you want to vote for a weak candidate tomorrow, go ahead, pick one. Pick the weakest one you think. I don't know who it is." Similar efforts have taken hold in South Carolina, which has an open primary that allows eligible voters to cast ballots in either party's primary. Two Republican operatives told CNN that they looked to disrupt Democrats' process of selecting a nominee, with supporters of the strategy urging participants to skew support for Democrat candidates, namely Democrat socialist Bernie Sanders, in hopes of sowing a future ideological contrast with Trump. The strategy is a serious obstacle for Joe Biden, who lagged significantly in Iowa's and New Hampshire's recent tallies and whose future in the race could depend on a boost from the Palmetto State. The South Carolina Republican Party has said it is not endorsing the strategy, and it remains unclear how many Republicans will participate and to what effect. Man arrested in attempted murder-turned-homicide. Move follows 41-year-old victim's death in 2018 in recent review of case by coroner's office. Out of San Jose, the death of a 41-year-old San Jose man who died 2 years ago after being shot has been ruled a homicide by the Santa Clara County Medical Examiner Coroner's Office, police said. Officers initially found Martin Cardenas suffering from at least one gunshot wound in the 700 block of East Mission Street in the early morning hours of July 14, 2016, said San Jose Police Sergeant Enrique Garcia in a news release on Friday. Cardenas was treated at a hospital and released. Garcia said patrol officers identified Jesse Michael Jimenez, 22, of San Jose, as a suspect in the case. Jimenez was eventually arrested on an attempted murder warrant and booked into county jail in January of 2017. On October 19, 2018, Cardenas was admitted to a Monterey County hospital where he died 6 days later. Garcia said the coroner's office reviewed the facts of the case and ruled the manner of death a homicide on February 2nd. The attempted murder charge Jimenez was booked on will be amended to murder. The suspect remains in custody. Garcia said police are counting Cardenas' death as the 5th homicide of the year in the city. Anyone with any information about the case can contact San Jose Police Detective John Carey or Detective Elizabeth Ramirez at 408-277-5283. Those wishing to remain anonymous can leave a tip with Silicon Valley Crime Stoppers at 408-947-STOP. Tipsters may be eligible for a cash reward. Last of Old Bridge to go soon. Demolition of final section of Old 5th Street Bridge to begin. While work on the replacement 5th Street Bridge is well underway, the last piece of the old 5th Street Bridge still stands close by, but not for long. The majority of the old bridge has already been demolished, but the final section that stands over the Feather River is set to begin being demolished the week of February 24th, and that is according to project manager Merdad Verzande. Because of its location, a controlled demolition is required to make sure the water is not affected. Crews will use wire saws and flat saws to cut pieces off the superstructure of the old bridge, and cranes will airlift pieces of the deck safely away from the water. Temporary supports have been erected in preparation for the demolition. Farzande said the cutting and lifting of pieces off the old bridge is scheduled to be complete sometime in the third week of March. By the end of March, the superstructure should be completely taken down, leaving 3 piers and the foundation of the old bridge. Due to environmental restrictions, crews cannot do work that would affect the levee until April 15th and cannot go into the water until June 1st. 2 of the piers are in the water or touching the levee. Farzande said that at the beginning of April, parts of the columns not touching the water or the levee will start to be lowered. The lack of rain in recent weeks will mean it will be easier for crews to work on demolition without touching water. Farzande said it's actually been helping. The river level has been low. The improved weather has also meant roadway work on 5th and J Street in Marysville, and it has restarted after being halted due to adverse conditions. The work includes fixing sidewalks and parts of the road in that area. We're doing as much as we can on the roadway, Farzande said. On January 22nd, the final portion of the deck for the new bridge was laid, meaning the deck for the entire new bridge has been laid. In the next couple of weeks, the false work, that is, supporting the new bridge, will be removed. On the 2nd Street portion of the new bridge, crews are working on the approach slabs, which will connect the roadway to the bridge. Once that is complete, work will start on installing the barrier rail on both the 2nd Street and 5th Street sections of the new bridge. Despite all the demolition and ongoing construction, Farzande said there is nothing new that commuters would be aware of as they continue traveling over the new bridge as it's being constructed. Workers will be working behind railings that have been in place for the entire project. There should not be any different traffic patterns, Farzande said. Plumas Lake man arrested for arson connected to burglary. The last suspect in a Plumas Lake residential burglary investigation from January was arrested Tuesday night for burning a stolen vehicle after it was taken from the home's garage, according to Yuba County Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer Leslie Carbaugh. On January 4th, 2019, a home in the 1900 block of Knights Ferry Drive was discovered to have been broken into while the family that lives there was on vacation. Electronics were stolen from the house and a black 2003 Toyota Corolla was taken from the garage. The vehicle was found early the next morning, burned, in a field behind Kensington Drive. 3 juvenile suspects were arrested who were schoolmates of the teenage child that lived at the residence and therefore knew the family was out of town. A 17-year-old from Plumas Lake, a 17-year-old from Wheatland, and a 16-year-old from Wheatland were booked into juvenile hall. Trevor Earl Green, who's 18, of Plumas Lake, was arrested at 1:11 a.m. Wednesday for his alleged role in the burning of the stolen vehicle, and he was booked into Yuba County Jail. As of late Wednesday afternoon, Green was being held at Yuba County Jail on $50,000 bond. Man convicted for 2012 revenge murder at Arden Motel 6, years after trial dismissal. An alleged pimp was found guilty by jury this week for a 2012 murder described by prosecutors as a revenge slaying more than 6 years after the defendant had an earlier conviction for the crime dismissed by a judge due to a jury issue. Michael Dushan Nunnally, now 35, was convicted Thursday in Sacramento Superior Court for the first-degree murder of 29-year-old Castor Tizzino, who was shot dead September 25, 2012, behind a Motel 6 in the 2000 block of Arden Way. The motel has since closed. In February 2014, Judge Sharon Luares overturned a murder conviction against Nunnally on the basis of jury misconduct after a defense attorney filed a motion claiming jury members improperly considered data from a cell phone that had been entered into evidence as belonging to Tizzino, which turned out to be the product of inaccurate cataloging, as the Sacramento Bee reported at the time. Luares granted Nunnally a new trial. Prosecutors said Nunnally was a pimp who killed Tizzino in an ambush-style murder as revenge for an incident involving one of his prostitutes. According to a Friday news release from the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office, Nunnally was seeking revenge for an assault he believed the victim committed. The Bee reported in 2014, based on the dismissed trial, that the murder was retaliation for Tizzino allegedly pulling a gun on one of Nunnally's prostitutes. The recent DA news release says Nunnally lured Tizzino to the Motel 6. The news release said Nunnally engaged the victim in small talk, and when the victim turned to walk away, Nunnally shot the victim in the back, killing him. Nunnally faces a maximum of 50 years to life in prison at his sentencing, which is scheduled for April 10th. The case was prosecuted by Deputy District Attorney Satnam Ratu of the agency's homicide unit. An update: police release more details on the missing 16-year-old Davis girl. A 16-year-old girl has been missing from Davis since Thursday evening, police say. Olivia Sozio was last seen around 5 p.m. and had spoken to friends around 6:30 p.m., but has not been heard from since, the Davis Police Department said in social media posts late Thursday night. Her family, as well as the Davis Police Department, are concerned for Olivia's safety, the department said in an Everbridge message that was sent shortly after 10 a.m. Friday. Olivia's last known location is believed to be in the area of Cowell Boulevard in South Davis. At around 3:30 a.m. Friday, the police department on Friday gave an update. The teen is described as 5'6" and about 120 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a plaid gray or blue button-up shirt and blue jeans, and was driving a white 1997 Toyota Corolla that had a California license plate 3WPK057. In a Facebook post just after 8:30 a.m. on Friday morning, Davis Police said there have been no updates on the missing teen's current whereabouts. Davis PD detectives are working on every possible lead but need your help, the police department wrote. Anyone with information on Olivia's whereabouts is now urged to contact Lieutenant Mike Munoz at 530-747-5427. 24 cabins to shelter homeless youth planned next to Sacramento Church. Sacramento officials are planning to open cabin-style shelters for homeless young people near the intersection of Grove and Las Palmas Avenues in the Noralto neighborhood of North Sacramento. The site, on a vacant lot next to St. Paul Church of God in Christ at 2771 Grove Avenue, would become home to 24 temporary sleeping cabins for 48 transitional age youth, ages 18 to 24, according to a city staff report. The development, called Emergency Bridge Housing at Grove Avenue, would remain for about 2 years, the report said. While there, young people would also receive job training, help finding housing, and mental health services for those who need it. Trailers would be included for office space, restrooms, and showers. The goal would be to move guests into permanent housing every 6 months to a year, according to the report. Once fully operational, the project could serve 80 to 100 people per year. Eventually, another 26 cabins could be added to the site, totaling 100 beds. Says Councilman Alan Warren, who represents the area. The community needs to hear about it, but generally I think this plan could work as a small piece of a larger, more comprehensive proposal. A community meeting will be held at 6 p.m. Monday at St. Paul Church of God in Christ. The City Council will consider the proposal at 4 p.m. Tuesday during the special meeting at City Hall's council chambers. Meanwhile, Warren is still pushing for the city to open Renewal Village, a facility to house 700 homeless and low-income residents in tents, tiny homes, and single-family homes. He proposed a site owned by Twin Rivers School District for that project, which is about 2 blocks from the cabin site. He said the cabin site is a first good step, though. The site is about a block from Noralto Elementary, and Warren said the response from the community so far has been overwhelmingly positive. Roughly 18 cabin-style shelters currently open near the site, and it's called Compassion Village and it would remain in place. The Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency plans to purchase the cabins from Denver-based Tough Shed, the report said. Sacramento nonprofit First Steps Communities will operate the shelter. The cost of the project would be about $5.6 million for the 24 cabins and $7.6 million for the 50 cabins, the report says. It would mostly come from state homelessness funding. The cabins are planned to be open by March in order to meet Governor Gavin Newsom's 100-day challenge to receive additional state funding. Volunteers in January 2019 counted 5,570 homeless people living in Sacramento County alone, including 415 people who were between the ages of 18 and 25. Over half of them were sleeping outdoors. Funderland food stand, East Sac Bar, among 9 local eateries briefly closed by health inspectors. A popular bar near Sacramento State and the concession stand at Land Park's Funderland amusement park were among the 6 food establishments Sacramento County Environmental Management Division inspectors temporarily closed in the last week. Roughly 200 rodent droppings and one apparently well-fed dead mouse were found at Clubhouse 56, which was closed last Friday before passing re-inspection and reopening the next day at 723 56th Street. It was also dinged for storing nacho cheese 9 degrees cooler than the allowed temperature, though that violation was corrected during the course of inspection. Funderland's wastewater collection tank at its concession stand was full as of the inspection last Friday, causing water to pool up in the dish sink when the hand-washing sink was run, according to the inspector's report. Gray water was draining directly into the ground near a door, boring a hole, and water was also draining directly onto the ground by the soda machine before the concession stand at 1350 17th Avenue reopened Saturday. Another land park destination popular among the slightly older crowd closed Tuesday for unspecified vermin/animal contamination before reopening Wednesday, according to the county's website. Yummy Cafe serves Chinese food in neighbors McClatchy High School at 3005 Freeport Boulevard, number B. American River College's Beaver Bookstore remained unable to serve food as of Friday after a Tuesday inspection turned up about 90 rodent droppings, plus gnaw marks on bags of Chips Ahoy and Famous Amos cookies. Kebab and Chutney, a halal Indian and Pakistani restaurant in Pioneer Business Park near Mack Road and Stockton Boulevard intersection, was shut down Monday when an inspector found 3 dead mice on a glue trap and 70 droppings throughout the restaurant. The restaurant at 7850 Stockton Boulevard, Suite 100, reopened Tuesday. 2 miles up Stockton Boulevard, Morales Carniceria and Market was closed the same day for vermin/animal contamination, as well as warewashing and sanitizing procedures. A full inspection report was not available for the Mexican Market at 6830 Stockton Boulevard, which reopened the next day. Express Sushi and Teriyaki at 6047 Madison Avenue, number B in Carmichael, failed its second inspection in the last month on Thursday. Information about the recent closure was not available as of Friday morning, but Express Sushi and Teriyaki was shut down for a day on January 13th after an inspector found a cockroach infestation and hot and cold holding temperature violations. The McDonald's at 7329 Fair Oaks Boulevard in Carmichael was closed for improper sewage and wastewater disposal Tuesday, but reopened Wednesday with a full report not yet available. A Jim Boy's Tacos at 8670 Elk Grove Boulevard in Elk Grove was also closed Tuesday, though no further information was available online. Mail stolen from nearly 100 rural Placer County residents. Authorities are investigating after mail was stolen from close to 100 mailboxes Thursday in rural Placer County. The thefts happened sometime during the evening along Auburn Folsom Road from Newcastle to Granite Bay, the Placer County Sheriff's Office said in social media posts on Friday morning. Sheriff's officials noted that the thefts coincide with tax season. The Sheriff's Office post said many W-2 forms are arriving in the mail, along with other information-sensitive documents. The Sheriff's Office also urged residents to track credit card and bank statements, to check your mailbox daily, and to place a hold on your mail if you plan on going out of town. Anyone with information about the theft is urged to contact the Sheriff's Investigation Division at 530-889-7830. Got a red light ticket? Chances are California cops still have the photo. 4 California law enforcement agencies have accumulated a massive amount of license plate images in their databases, with the vast majority of the photos not pertaining to any criminal investigation, according to a state audit released on Thursday. The report said the Fresno Police Department, Los Angeles Police Department, Marin County Sheriff's Office, and Sacramento County Sheriff's Office have failed to fully implement 2016 privacy regulations concerning the use of automated license plate readers and may be exposing drivers to data breaches. The LAPD, according to the report from the California State Auditor's Office, has 320 million images stored, yet only 400,000 of those images pertain to any investigation. Senator Scott Wiener, Democrat out of San Francisco, requested the audit and, in a statement Thursday, said the findings were, quote, deeply disturbing and confirm our worst fears about the misuse of this data, end quote. The data should be used only in narrow circumstances, Wiener said. What we've learned today is that many law enforcement agencies are violating state law, are retaining personal data for lengthy periods of time, and are disseminating this personal data broadly. The report found that the Fresno, Marin, and Sacramento agencies use cloud storage to store the license plate data, which in the case of Sacramento County Sheriff's Office also includes names, addresses, dates of birth, and criminal charges. None of the 3 agencies could demonstrate to auditors that their privacy standards complied with the FBI guidelines, according to the report. The audit said, moreover, none of the contracts that these 3 agencies have with their cloud storage vendors include all necessary data security safeguards. Thus, the agencies lack guarantees that the cloud vendor will provide appropriate protection of their data. The report found that the Fresno Police Department hold on to license plate image data for 1 year, while the Sacramento agency holds it for 2 years. The agencies reviewed have few safeguards, according to the report, against misuse of automated license plate reader data, and the agencies have left their systems open to abuse by neglecting to institute sufficient oversight. Sacramento County Sheriff Scott Jones, in a response to the audit, said that he disagrees with some of the characterizations made in the report. Jones said, as the sheriff of Sacramento County, I take seriously the protection of our citizens, including their personal privacy. Within our role as guardians of the data we collect, my staff works diligently to develop and consistently apply security protocols that maintain the integrity of our systems. The report recommends that the legislature pass a bill to require the state Department of Justice to draft a license plate reader policy template that local law enforcement agencies can use. The report also recommends that the state establish a maximum retention period for license plate images and specify how frequently automated license plate reader system use must be audited. That legislation is coming, Wiener said in a statement. The state of affairs is totally unacceptable, he said, and I'm drafting legislation to protect people's privacy and put an end to those privacy violations. If you pay California taxes, you could end up on jury duty under this proposed law. All state tax filers could end up on California juries under a proposed law introduced Thursday night intended to have more juror pools be diverse. Now, prospective jurors are pulled from the Department of Motor Vehicles driver's license and identification card lists or from county lists of registered voters. State Senator Scott Wiener, Democrat from San Francisco, said Senate Bill 1001 would create jury pools reflective of California's demographics by requiring jury commissioners to include anyone who files state taxes. Weiner said juries unfairly skew white and wealthy and generally fail to reflect California's diverse populations. He said the law would establish a more equitable justice system because racial minorities are underrepresented on juries. Weiner said in a statement, "Trial by jury of one's peers is fundamental to our democracy, and a representative jury pool is crucial to making that principle a reality. Our current system for selecting jury pools undermines our ability to ensure people have a jury of their peers. We need to include all Californians on our jury lists, not just those who are registered to vote or who have a driver's license." Whites make up 42% of California residents, Latinos 35%, Asian Americans 15%, and 6% of Californians are black, according to an August 2019 Public Policy Institute of California report. Meanwhile, 59% of registered voters are not Latino, black, or Asian per Political Data, Inc. Driver's license and state ID lists sometimes overlap with registered voters, therefore diminishing a jury pool that reflects a fair cross-section of the community, according to a 2016 report from the Judge's Journal, which says additional names could be pulled from sources like state income tax rolls to expand representation and increase the number of available and eligible jurors. The California Franchise Tax Board processed more than 18 million tax returns in 2019. A widened jury pool strengthens the entire legal system, says Oscar Bobrow, president of the California Public Defenders Association, the bill's sponsor. For juries to speak on behalf of the community, they must fairly reflect that community, he said. Name released of woman found dead in Rancho, Cordova home. Authorities have released the identity of a woman found dead in a Rancho, Cordova home. The Sacramento County Coroner's Office said, 52-year-old Hee Jong Park was the woman found dead on Wednesday night. Detectives have said she was the victim of homicide. Police say 26-year-old Nicholas Brynelson called 911 Wednesday, claiming he came home to find his girlfriend dead. He said she had been in a fight earlier in the day. However, detectives later arrested Brynelson in connection with her death. Neighbors say the suspect and victim lived together. Brynelson is due in court for his arraignment on Friday.